All right, I've got another video you guys have been asking for a while now, and that is my fuel economy on the WRX after 2 years. If you guys don't follow, what I do is I keep track of all the fuel economy based on tuned, not tuned, what kind of gas station I get it at, the driving conditions, and I have a bunch of statistics for you guys, literally all kinds of cool stuff. You will find some of this stuff cool, so do not click off the video. I guarantee you're gonna find this interesting, and there are a few tips at the end of it on how to save some real money, because I did keep track of, specifically, I go to Shell and Mobil most frequently, and I kept track of my average MPG tuned and not tuned for Shell and Mobil, and there was a difference. One of them was cheaper, and we'll talk about that. And I have to keep my numbers with me because I had to do math, and I don't have my math notebook, but I had to do math. So if you guys enjoy these kinds of videos, give me a like, give me a subscribe, maybe comment something, let me know what you're getting, because everyone gets wildly different things. But let's quickly recap here. So 2022 WRX, I've owned it for 2 or 3 years, 2-ish years essentially, and I've looked at my first 2 years of ownership, which is 1 year of being stock and not tuned, and 1 year of being tuned. I've analyzed non-road trip driving because I live in Boston, which is a city, and I rarely leave Boston when I'm driving this car. So it's kind of like city driving, and then I have road trips, which is my like highway driving. So I've split that, and then I've looked at data for Shell and Mobil as well, and we'll take a dive into what all of that is. Here's the deal, guys. For 1 year of driving not tuned, I averaged 23.1 miles to gallon on a 93. I only use 93. I'm fortunate that 93 is available around me. Not great gas mileage, and that is blended between road trips and city driving, but that is primarily living in the Boston area. That represents almost 98% of the mileage in that first year of driving. Then I had a year tuned, and in that full calendar year of tuning, of driving the tuned car, I made 24.2 miles to the gallon, which means I increased 1.1 miles to the gallon going tuned, with similar driving, and I would even say with harder driving, so that an extra year tuned represents driving where I was, let's say, a little bit more spirited in what I was actually doing. Now, I've also backed out in the tuned year because I don't have as many road trips not tuned. I believe, see, the thing is I have 2. So I have 2 road trips when I was stock, and I averaged 27.4 miles per the gallon on those road trips specifically. I have many more road trips while tuned. We're talking like probably like 3,000 miles of road trips, which for me, that's a lot of road trips. And I averaged 28.2. So even when I was doing highway driving, after being tuned, I was making significantly better gas mileage. So even though I drove the car harder, I make more power, the car is faster, being tuned optimizes whatever's going on that's causing me to get better gas mileage. Now, it's not as, that is small on the VB. On my VA WRXs, past WRXs that I've owned, when I went from stock to tuned, it was actually much more substantial. I remember I was at my last tuned WRX, which was my last 2016 WRX. I was Bren tuned, and I increased my average gas mileage on that car by like something like 4 miles to the gallon with being tuned. It was remarkable. I truly attest that to a lot of what's going on in first gear. I have to imagine, because it's smoother, and I don't have to like get as high, like I don't have to rev as high into first gear to have a comfortable shift into second gear, because that's been like settled out. And I want to imagine that that actually equates to fairly large gas usage. It's just a guess. In terms of what I think is going to be most interesting in this video is Shell and Mobil. I'm about 50-50 between Shell and Mobil, and my average miles per gallon over the full total ownership of this car with Shell was 23.8 miles to the gallon. That's my average over all miles driven on this car since the day that I bought it. From Mobil, it's 23.6 miles per gallon. They're not the same. That represents a 0.2 miles per gallon difference, or in percent terms, 0.84%. Now you might say that is so small, but we're gonna take this out. Yes, it's small, but we're gonna see if there's money to be saved. So if you look at 100,000 miles of driving, let's say you did Shell for 100,000 miles instead of doing Mobil for 100,000 miles. What I've found with my basic average 24.2 miles per gallon at $4 a gallon of 93, I'm going to spend $16,528.93 versus of gas in that 100,000 miles, which means I'm going to equate to a savings of $138.85. Now, that might not sound like a lot of money over 100K miles, but that money is going to be exacerbated by inflation as gas goes up over that 100,000 miles, and $138 is enough to do a few miles with your car. I would go one step further. You could do like the emblems, you could do tint overlays, you could do a duck bill, you could do a roof spoiler, you could do all those things for $138. Well, you could do one of the roof spoilers or the duck bill, or you could do all your emblems, or you could do carbon fiber mirror covers. You could do like all kinds of stuff for that kind of money. So yeah, it's not a ton of money, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not nothing. So there is some savings maybe if you go to Shell. Now, I'm not trying to plug Shell, it's just the difference. I was surprised that there was that much of a difference. I guess additives make a big difference, ethanol content, but I wasn't expecting it to be, you know, close to 1%. 1% is a lot when you're considering gas, which should be relatively the same. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Again, these aren't like the most thrilling videos, but they're interesting, and I keep track of this stuff because you guys seem to like it. So if you want to see another one in 3 or 4 years, or me analyze different things, let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next video.